Basted to dress it. And he took butter and milk, and the calf which he had dressed, and set it before them. And he stood by them under the tree, and they did eat. Okay, so I was saying, I believe, and I don't remember perfectly, but I was saying, I believe, how this is Madam Sarah. Let me look. Yes, she's referred to as Sarah and not Sarai here. She is the rich madam of this house. She is the mistress, the wife of the house, to the Lord of the house. And you see how she is submitting to her husband and obedient, even though. Now, she could have had others prepare, for example, Hagar to do this. Her husband um, told her specifically to do this, and she appears to obey. We'll continue on reading. But I, for one, and I feel like this perfectly goes with some of you may feel like it doesn't at all. And I think it perfectly suits what I had just been talking about in regards to humility. Okay, because Sarah would not have the heart posture of someone who be holding God to her you know to the way that he must please her and the posture that he must come in and the benchmarks that he must meet in order to bring that thing to pass. And it would not have been because she'd grown proficient in that heart posture for practicing on people she thought lesser. You know, this was a very powerful woman. And we hear and see a simple truth here that she obeys. And she is a very powerful, a very obedient, and very humble woman. Now, I do believe she's about to make a mistake, but her mistake is not about to be idolatry, and her mistake is not about to be a heart posture that places God under her and her affairs and her endeavors. So, verse 8, and he took butter and milk and the calf which he had dressed, and set it before them. And he stood by them under the tree, and they did eat. And they said unto him, Where is Sarah thy wife? And he said, Behold, in the tent. And he said, I will certainly return unto thee according to the time of life. And lo, Sarah thy wife shall have a son. And Sarah heard it in the tent door, which was behind him. Now Abraham and Sarah were old and well stricken in age, and it ceased to be with Sarah after the manner of women. Now I'm not entirely sure what this means, but as someone who is quickly approaching that time of life, it appears, at least, it seems like Sarah might have gone through menopause. Okay, most people, I won't go into what that is, but most people seem to, both men and women, seem to know what menopause is. You know, that's why many men are careful to marry ages between ages like 18 to like 33 or something, 35, due to most men wanting to have children. Okay, so uh, verse 12. Therefore Sarah laughed within herself, saying, After I am waxed old, shall I have pleasure? My Lord being old also. Now, I don't really know what that means, but I feel like perhaps it means that they were not even having sex. And and it wouldn't be because of love or anything like that. They absolutely had a very loving, beautiful marriage. And they absolutely would have consummated that marriage, um, in a healthy manner over the course of their loving marriage. But it appears to me that that might be what they are saying. That these two, this old couple, they had that in their youth. They had sex in their youth. They no longer have sex. They won't no longer can have sex. they may no longer even want to, because I don't want to sound disrespectful. But due to their age and the natural progression of age for many, okay, I feel like that was a very respectable way to say it. Okay, so in 13, and the Lord said unto Abraham, wherefore did Sarah laugh, saying, shall I of a surety bear a child, which am old? Is there anything too hard for the Lord? At the time appointed I will return unto thee, according to the time of life, and Sarah shall have a son. Then Sarah denied, saying, I laughed not, for she was afraid. And he said, nay, but thou didst laugh. Now, I feel as though, once again, I'm submit and I'm taken with Sarah, but the Lord knows how to choose, doesn't he? Okay, she was not perfect, obviously. I am smitten, I'm taken with Sarah. She was afraid, and that is one of the acceptable that's one of the acceptable responses for having sinned and been called on it. There are many who it would be an improvement if they were afraid. Okay? For if they do not find some fear in this life, they will certainly find it in the next. And that is quite unfortunate. I'm not wishing that upon them or anyone. But it said, the Bible continues, and the men rose up from thence and looked towards Sodom, and Abraham went with them to bring them on the way. Now, I want to also further point out that, I don't want to presume, especially since this is Bible study, so I don't want to assume that you've thought of this, okay? But as someone who is part of the remnant, and I am in love with the Bible and in love with God, okay, I think about every every detail that I can, okay? And note how there is more than one miracle that is being prophesied, which makes it a super miracle. When a man doesn't have legs, and he never had legs, and if the Lord message comes from the Lord that the man shall run, shall leap, and shall be a dancer, indeed, especially if he's old, that's a miracle to the point of absurdity. To the point of absurdity. And this is a super miracle, because it's not true that God is just saying they're just going to have a baby. No, it's a super miracle. God is saying, okay, because we're going to get all remnant on this because we are the remnant. God is saying, I'm going to bless you with longevity so you will live and not die anytime soon. It takes time to raise a child. I'm going to bless you I'm going to bless your relationship. You're going to love each other. I'm going to bless your physical bodies. You're going to come together. You're going to have sex. And I'm going to bless you with a child. I'm also going to bless your physical body after you have sex. That Sarah will carry the child. She will have the strength to deliver the child, which is an even greater miracle. And maybe not even greater miracle, but another miracle. She will have milk to sustain the baby for. God went a step further, and the baby did not get a wet nurse. So the miracle says the two older people, God had to progress their life. He had to give them the blessing of longevity. This blessing had to come in the context of two people that lived to raise a child. So while they are old, God is saying, you're going to live long. I'm going to bless you with years of life. I'm going to bless your physical body. You're going to have sex. I'm going to bless your marriage. You're going to want to have sex. I'm going to bless your wife's body. She's going to get pregnant. I'm going to bless your wife's body with strength. She's going to successfully carry the baby. I'm going to bless your wife's body with unusual strength. At her age, she's going to be able to deliver the baby successfully. I'm going to bless your wife's body with provision. Not only will she have sex and conceive successfully, carry successfully, and bring forth, she is also going to produce milk for the baby from her body. There will be no wet nurse needed. That is a succession of miracles. Now, hold on. I maybe anything when I do. Point in And another miracle is that the sex of the baby shall be known, and the baby's sex will be a son. These are several miracles. And you mustn't read it, for you are the remnant. You mustn't read it as Sarah was promised a baby. She could have been promised a baby and indeed gotten a baby through a servant. She could have been promised a baby and not been able to really carry the baby well, and the baby come prematurely a little. Sarah died, and then another woman take on Sarah's responsibility. She could have had the baby but not been able to produce milk, and the baby could have also been a girl. But no, this is a succession of miracles. One